Hello and welcome to the Drannor Wilderness. I don't think I've shown this before, so this will be my attempt to convince you that this is probably one of the best, if not the best looking wilderness in the game. Look at the light shining through the trees, the misty effects and the wild magic in the distance. The size of the trees aside from anything else, look at the size of these things. And then the buildings, I don't think we've got a building, that's a relatively small one. Believe me, some of them are big, but you've still got these towering trees here. It's quite something. Look there at the light coming through. I'm quite impressed with that. Anyway, I've not pressed play to talk for half an hour about the eye candy in the wilderness. Although it is for my money the best one they've done. But we'll discuss that a bit later. I thought maybe as we touched on it in a previous video, maybe we could discuss a little bit the Myth Drannor pack in general, as this pack is unique in that it marks the first time I've done anything but buy the base one. I've sort of alternated between waiting for the thing to come out for points and just taking the bottom pack in the past. I mean, with the Salt Marsh one, when that came out, I think that was really nice and cheap. So I went for that with hard-earned coin, but the rest, plenty of the rest, I think I went for DDO points over time. This one, I'm still not quite sure why. I decided to go all out and get the biggest bundle. I don't think it was because because I thought I was getting more value than any of the previous ones. I'm not quite sure why I did it. Although there are some nice things in there, especially if you've got several characters like me that you play regularly, and we'll discuss that in a little bit as well. I thought I might start by discussing the quests themselves. I mean, I'm more than happy with those. I've done every quest at least twice now, except for the multi-instance one, the one that's a bit like Beautiful Nightmares or Mirror. I haven't been in there yet because every time I think I might go in, something crops up and I think, oh, I'll need a good hour to investigate this. One of the fellow Bear Party members took at least, well, it was close to 2 hours, I think, albeit flower sniffing everywhere, but I think that sort of put me off a little bit. But I do definitely plan to go and give that a look. But some of the others, I mean, I get what people are saying about the crests and that kind of theme repeating itself, but I think we get to a stage, don't we, where there's only a finite number of things that you can use and put together in different orders and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's nothing new concept wise, but I think they're quite nicely done. I enjoyed them. There's one in a burning setting, like the rooms are burning, and you go in and you literally can't see much for smoke. And I actually went in there with one of our tankier characters accompanying me, and something came from behind in that burning room that I just didn't see and ate my little archer on the spot. So that was all she wrote. Another one, I think it's the Etiquette one in the main public area that there's one quest that you can access from the main public area. The rest of them you have to walk through the wilderness to access. And that public area one, there is a dragon boss at the end who I thought was really nicely done. So yeah, quest wise, we've all had fun at them. It's been great that. Now, if you were to ask me about time running to quests, I think that's a different matter. I think it's. I mean, can I open the map up here to give an idea? I probably can. Yeah, look, we can't even see a quest on here. So from where we've come in, the nearest quests are this group here, a couple up there, and then there's stuff all, I mean, just thrown literally all over the place. And then there's a couple, there's one down there. So there's no sort of logical grouping, and you can see how big the map is. I just couldn't, one down there, look, I couldn't understand the reasoning for this. I mean, they are literally miles apart, aren't they? And it does it even on horseback. It's quite an ordeal. Now, once you've completed certain quests, you do get there's two teleport locations, aren't there? Only two. There's an east and a west side you can go to make it a little bit easier, but that doesn't ease the pain on the first run through. And I'm guessing most people will only do just that one run through. So yeah, I can't figure out why they felt the need to make this area so large. As nice as it is, you know, spending ages running to the quest is not going to be, especially not to the liking of those running, you know, XP potions and that. So I can't see it being that popular over something like Giant Hold on the heroic level. I can see people doing it in legendary, you know, to get the saga, but no, for heroic leveling, if you're sort of sitting on the fence and wondering if you should get it for that, you totally don't need it. There's more than enough XP around that level, and Giant Hold will be quicker and easier because some of the quests are quite tough as well. So if you were just sitting on the fence wondering if you needed it for that, I would say no. So yes, the distance to the quests is a little bit painful. Loot, personally, I was a bit nonplussed, but then maybe I'm the wrong person to ask about that kind of thing, because I don't just change for change's sake. If something comes out that might give a little bit more spell power, I don't automatically change everything to incorporate that. My caster druid is still running mainly level 29 Fey gear and just doing fine with that. So I'm not one for just jumping on the bandwagon and changing. Having said which, if I understand it correctly, they plan to move forward with this idea of no more set bonuses and using the augments, the sun and moon augments, to replace those. So it might well be worth saving those. I know that they're not bound, so if you have sufficient shards, because they're mostly all on the shard exchange at the moment, you could begin to start a collection. Let's just try and show some of them there. So there we go. See, they're all up for 100, 200, depending on what they are, if it's a sought after thing or not. But I would think the prices will reduce quite drastically over time. Drop rate wise, certainly not prolific on either loot or augments, but when we did some questing with you know, a group of 3 or 4, we were finding stuff. It's not like they were never dropping, so I don't know if there's been a secret augmentation of the drop rate since the thing initially came out and people were kind of up in arms about the low number of drops. That's a possibility, I guess. Or the other one is that we were particularly unlucky when first investigating the area. Right, let's have a little look at some of the other things then. That, I mean, if you're on the fence about the different packs and what is contained in there. As I say, I got the big one this time. I've no complaints. I've read comments in the forums about, you know, people having regrets about having bought the content in general or bought the pack. I'm guessing maybe a number of these might be from people who've realised they can't just fly through the area and gather all the XP quite quickly, and they start thinking, well, we're not going to use this for levelling. maybe something like that. But no, generally speaking, I'm more than satisfied. I have noticed that it doesn't look like, unlike in previous expansions, it doesn't look like we can unlock any elements, like for example the wild mage archetype. I would have thought that maybe, I mean, there was speculation that maybe it would be unlockable for favor. It doesn't seem to be that way. So the only way at present to get hold of the Eladrin race or the wild mage and chaos mancer is to buy them with the packs. Of course, in the fullness of time, I'm sure all of this will be available in the DDO store for DDO points. So it's a question of whether you are prepared to wait. Now, in the basic pack, as well as the quests, you do get the Eladrin race, which would allow any people, going towards racial completionist to do those 3 lives and get that. Let's just have a little word about the Eladrin tree. It's they've kind of divided it in two, haven't they? They've put the melee and range stuff in the basic Eladrin racial tree, and then the Chaos Mancer enhancements are obviously all to do with casters. But if you want the Chaos Mancer tree, you have to splash out on the biggest pack, I'm afraid. Only the Eladrin standard race comes with the basic one. So yeah, there are some interesting things if you haven't got the pack, or you haven't really looked at the Eladrin tree yet. The abundant step ability, the phase step, is quite nice, and is linked to one of the 4 seasons that you can be in. You can get like a temp dodge bonus, weapon damage bonus, sneak attack dice, tactic DC bonus when you trigger these phase steps. There's a similar theme, but obviously more caster related, for the Chaos Mancer one. So as you can see, my character here is a Chaos Mancer for the moment, and you learn to sort of hold on to those phase steps until you're about to move into a contact, and then hit it for your little boost. This, in case any of you are wondering, is an indication that there's about to be a wild magic surge, and in this case a very positive one. I think that's the symbol for a really good one coming. Impressions on the wild magic thing, the wild mage tree, and the chaos mage in general. It's nice, it's fun. Those who like the number crunching side of things will, I'm sure, want to gain well, if you do 3 Chaos Mancer past lives, you get 9 universal spell power for the wild mage side of it, which is the default class for the Chaos Mancer, and also 9 for the Chaos Mancer past life itself. So you get an 18 extra universal spell power for doing 3 iconic lives, as I understand it. So any of you casters out there, I'm sure you'll be wanting to pick that up. Not too much over a standard sorcerer, to be honest. The problem is, I mean, it's nice, it's fun, but the problem is these wild surges, which the whole thing is built around, you can't plan anything because of the variety. You can't plan any strategy. Some of them are really good. There's one that triggers, I think, extra chaotic damage with every attack. There's another one that triggers a unicorn thing that starts healing in an AoE around you. There's another one that there's like a chorus of angels singing and a sort of a blast radius, like a force blast radius all around you that clears the area. But the total lack of knowledge of what's coming, it's just completely random. Which I get it. That's the nature of the class, the chaos. But as far as planning a character, to be effective, it's more flavour than anything else. I mean, you could get the best buff going off, best offensive buff going off, while you're casting your line of buffs here at the start of the quest with nothing near you. So it's just a bit unfortunate in that regard. I mean, there are nice things that you can take from the tree that are not random. So this is the Chaos Mancer tree. So you've got extra chances to have good or very good wild surges. You've got that 3 times down there. You can take your main stat down there. The phase step I've already mentioned is quite nice. And then you've got your season. I'm in the summer season because that benefits fire and light, so extra spell power. We've got maximize costing less there, and then this is very nice actually. For each season has one of these. That's your debuffer to make a bit like the Tiefling Scorch, to make the opponents take damage when normally, well, it's telling you there normally they'd be immune. So in this case here, as a fire sorcerer, we've got 2 sources now before we reach the cap, the heroic cap. We've got this awaken elemental weakness in the top tier of fire savant, and we've also got scorching summer if we go this far in the racial tree, which I have, to make fire immunes take your damage. And this of course is an AoE, so unlike this one, we can target several opponents and then just throw the fireball in or whatever, and suddenly immune targets take the damage. So that's really nice to have. And as I said, you've got the electric version there, and I'm sure there's a cold one somewhere. That's the acid one, and that's the cold one there. Same thing. So these are all AoE to some degree or other. This one I particularly like. It's just like the Scorch, like a flame jet, so it can hit several targets quite easily and make them vulnerable to your damage. So I do like that, especially for heroic, because normal, I mean, obviously once you get your elemental form, you're not too bothered about immunities, are you? But in heroic, it can be quite a pain when you commit, as I do, to one element and they're immune, and the only way to strip it is this one single target thing. So I did enjoy that and found some good use in it. What about the Wild Mage tree itself then? One of you's already commented on this one here, which I did enjoy experimenting with. It's well, it's beyond flavour, to be honest. It's quite useful, and it explains to me why colour spray, well, greater colour spray from the Fey illusion tree suddenly has an option to add maximize and empower to it. I was thinking, what on earth is this, for a non-damage spell? But now you've got this enhancement in the Wild Mage tree that can make this line of spells do damage too. I particularly had fun with the prismatic ray, deleting all sorts of stuff, and when it didn't delete, it did heavy damage to the targets. And that did, with the sort of colours flying all over the place and random effects, that just fit right into the theme of the whole thing. So if you are into doing one of these for flavour, for fun, I would definitely recommend putting 3 points in there, as I did initially, and experimenting a bit with the colour spray and the additional chaos damage for which you would want it's light and alignment, isn't it? So you would want radiance and radiance law, something like maybe the Fury Orb from, is it Best Laid Plans in Shan would be nice. And the Hallowed Trail cloak as well from Shan for the Radiance power maybe. So yes, I had a go with that. Thoroughly enjoyed that. It's not amazing the damage, but it's nice. It's something a bit different. Thinking you've got crowd control and damage all in one, so you could. And I know what people are going to say. Why not just blow the things away and not bother with the crowd control? I guess at Reaper 1, yes, you totally can. But getting into the spirit of the thing, I did enjoy that. Some of the other stuff lower down here, fairly standard, extra dodge. A lot of it is while wearing no armor because the Wild Mage tree supersedes the Eldritch Knight. So unfortunately, the logical armor for me to have worn with a fire sork would have been the Flame Cleanse Fury, but that would have been medium armor. And a lot of this is well, I can't get medium armor proficiency, can I? Short of spending, what would I have had to do? Spending 2 feats? Would I have had to spend one for light and then one for medium? I guess, because you can't just toggle it in the Eldritch Knight tree. So yes, there are things like this while wearing no armor, 2% spell crit damage. There's a whole line here giving extra spell crit damage with all spells, and more chance of incurring wild magic surges when casting a spell. So you end up, if you take that whole line, with the surges coming quite a lot. Now these two, I'm guessing anybody who is or has done the Chaos Mancer will be familiar with, just to get rid of the possibility of the negative magic surges, so that you can have very bad and bad, and you can get rid of both. So the worst you can get is neutral, which can be anything from a sound like breaking wind to party poppers going off or some fireworks overhead, that kind of thing. Is it worth removing the negative things? Because there is a thing there that gives you +2 caster level and max caster level with all spells, but you're able to receive very bad and bad wild surges. I've seen 1 or 2 of the worst ones when I forgot to take one or both of these in the tree one time. One of the ones I remember particularly, it gave you some kind of sickening thing, so your speed was slowed for a minute, you know, a bit like you'd got sickened from a troglodyte gas cloud or something like that. But the screen also went this sickly shade of green, and that was pretty bad. I didn't enjoy that at all, so I soon remembered to take the negative effects off. Otherwise, we've got some spell-like abilities as well in the tree. We've got Chaos Sphere there. That's not a spell-like ability, is it? But that one is Wild Strike. I had fun with that one. It does pretty decent damage as well. And I should probably mention that gets added, as does the Chaos Sphere, to the as does Greater Colour Spray, by the way. They all get added to the Wild Mage's spellbook, although Colour Spray costs a pretty hefty 40 mana, I think it is, by default. So I'd be a bit careful before choosing that one. Things in the cause. There are some decent things. I mean, as you can see, I haven't gone with Feydark this time for the sorcerer. I've gone half to be in the spirit of things. So as a wild mage, I figured I should really be in this tree. But it's not a bad tree. I wouldn't say it's a main tree. I'm not in love with the tier 5s in here. That's a slight increase overall to spell DCs. Well, while wearing no armor, gaining some MRR cap. For for leveling, you're not really well. If you're anything like me, you're not likely to hit the cap anyway. I mean, have we even hit the cap now? No, no, probably because my gear is less than stellar. But I don't think it's terrible, and I'm nowhere near the 50 cap for robes, and that's in late epic. So I could see that being a thing at the legendary cap perhaps, but for leveling, not really of interest. Lots of surges quickly. Well, for a start, you've got to remember to press the boost. I did try that on occasion, but again, as mentioned before, you don't know quite what you're going to get. Well, you don't know at all what you're going to get. You know they're going to be neutral to beneficial, but you don't know what form they're going to take. So if even they're going to be of any real use. So not amazing for a tier 5. That one isn't bad. Extra chance to make saves, but certainly not stellar, I don't think. And the Wild Strike SLA, I did road test it. It's not bad, not bad at all. There isn't much that's immune to chaos damage. I think I found Minotaurs, which would make sense, wouldn't it? I think they take no damage from that type, but most other stuff. So it's a way of if you can't make things vulnerable to your damage, as I've discussed earlier with these things. It's a way around, another way around dealing with immunities. That can be your sort of backup element, the chaos strikes. So that's not a bad little strategy, I don't think. There are some pretty good things in these cores. +1 caster level with, oh, that's chaos spells, but there is universal spell power, and here I think we get 1 caster and max caster with all spells and universal spell power as well. So it's not just the chaos stuff that gets boosted in there. So another caster level and max caster with all spells. So not bad, the boost in the cores. And then there's this little bardy chest blessing thing that I keep forgetting to do. I haven't noticed too much. One of the bear party tells me you can get like more chance of tomes and augments and things like that dropping. I've not noticed too much, and it is a bit of a pain. A, trying to remember, especially if there's other people in the group, and B, waiting around for it to be done. So I ended up leaving that to one side. I think that's about it on the Wild Mage Chaos Mancer thing. So too long didn't listen. I enjoyed the Fey step, big fan of that. Managed to use it to my advantage, with the buff. Look, oh, you can see there the effects it gives. So we've got from summer 20% bonus to spell cost reduction, which as a sorcerer isn't bad. So just hit it before a big pack of opponents. Actually, talking of spell cost reduction, I've been running the Reaper's efficiency to reduce the amount of spell points I chew through, because they can't half. And Evergreen as well. It's somewhat overkill now, but I just loathe running out of spell points in the middle of something. So yeah, I've enjoyed the extra vulnerability and the summer line and the phase step in the tree. A bit less the random nature of the whole thing, but you can quite justifiably, hey, look, night falling now, look at this. Tell me that's not a pretty landscape. You can quite justify that's what they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be chaotic. You're supposed to not know. I heard a rumor that they might add over time other things, other effects. If I had to bet on it, I would say they'd move on to pastures new. Okay, so that's the races and the Wild Mage, Chaos Mancer. The Wild Mage and Chaos Mancer, just to reiterate, you have to have the biggest pack at the moment to have access to those. My bad. The Wild Mage comes with the middle one as well. Wild Mage archetype. The Chaos Mancer is in the big one only. So what else comes in the big one then? The You've got two hirelings now. If you've followed this channel for a while, you will know that I am very averse to using hirelings of any type. I'm still not in love with them by any means, but there are a couple of things in this pack that have kind of brought me round a little bit. Now these can I just pull her out to show you? These Druid hirelings are the first one. True Sight is particularly nice for my ranged character Red, who doesn't have it on his endgame gear, so that's handy. They've got res, they've got heals, and they're ranged, so they tend to sit back behind you and not go wandering into contact, which is nice for their longevity. With them being like Gold Seal, they can be summoned, as you know, with similar hirelings wherever you want them in the dungeon. So what I tend to do when not playing with Red, just take them with me, but not summon them. Then if the worst comes to the worst, I'll gibbers up in a quiet place, summon the hireling, and the hireling can raise me then, which you couldn't do with a standard one. Well, the standard one you would have parked at the door, of course. But no, I quite like them, both the heroic and legendary. I don't use them over often, but they're the best ones I've found, put it that way. The other thing, that the hireling folder I quite like, because where previously I would have had to maybe stuff 5 or 6 copies of, say, Mikhail in my inventory if I wanted to have a DDO for heroic questing leveling. Now I can just have him in the hireling folder and not worry about running out of inventory space and that kind of thing. You get one folder with the big pack, but it can be passed around between your different characters, so I found that quite nice. Racial points. Now, especially for those of you who play with more than one character, I mean, if you have a stable of characters you like to play, or if you just like to create, let's say, a new character every time something new comes out, or you have a new idea and just take that to the cap, every one of these characters will have a 3-point racial tome to pick up. So I think that's pretty awesome. It's got gains in value the more characters you play. Perhaps not so great for people who dedicate themselves to one character only. Of course, there'll come a time, I'm sure, when the racial 3 will be on in the DDO store. But as I've already said, for if you have like more characters than me that you play regular, that could be really good value, I think. Bank slots, bonus bank slots for one character, and bonus shared bank slots. So that's not terrible. That's on the biggest pack as well. The teleport trinket you can see here, teleport to Myth Drannor, similar to, you can't use it to go to all the others, by the way. You've got to, it's the first teleport trinket I've ever had, so I'm kind of learning that you have to have bought the biggest packs on all these other things if you want to use it for these. So I've just got access to that. It's not strictly speaking necessary. You can, if you have access to a teleport, you can just teleport to the Gatekeeper Grove, or just do it from the ship, because I think you can go there now from the ship's captain, can't you? And then from there into the Myth portal. So just well, as happened here, I was sitting in Giant Hold and I wanted to go straight here to do the video, so I just had that to click on it, just a little bit of a convenience thing. Otherwise, I'm not really into mounts and things like that, but the flying carpet mount does seem to be popular with some people. I've seen it on other people. I haven't actually tried it myself. Let's give it a go just to show, in case there's somebody out there who's not seen it. Can I do that? No? Why not? There we go. I think it's pretty nicely done. It's not really my thing, but you kind of got a surfboard feel about it, hasn't it? I prefer the old horseback myself. Take that off. Now, can we just transfer from one mount to another? Yeah, I think one of the reasons I prefer these horses is they're kind of a symbol for me of the first times we. I think you've outlived your usefulness, madam. You can go. They're kind of a symbol of the first time we started completing. I think this comes from the bear raid, doesn't it? The Dryad and the Demigod. A symbol of the first time we started completing that raid. And it just felt awesome to be running around on the horse rewards from there. I think there's a black one and a white one, isn't there? And I was thinking in my head, yeah, look at me. I've been in the raid. That kind of thing. I know it's silly, but to me it meant something. It meant I'd kind of taken a little bit of a step. Speaking of which, because I think I've just about finished on the myth Drannor. So to me at least, it was it's been quite a success. I've enjoyed it. The rest of the bear party have enjoyed going in the quests. I think my too long didn't listen version of this would be if you are one sitting on the fence and wondering if you should get it for the XP, the loot, that kind of thing. My answer would be probably not. If you want it for more content to do, something a bit different, and maybe as I have to take advantage of some of the trappings in one of the packs, the access to the Eladrin, the Wild Mage, the Chaos Mancer, that kind of thing, the racial points, then go for it. But I certainly wouldn't do it if you're just in the market for XP at that level, because the giant hold will do that plenty enough with a lot less hassle of running to and from things. Personally, I will level with a bit of both. I already have. I did it this life. I did some giant hold and some. I think I did all giant hold actually, and enough because you start at 15, don't you? I did enough myth Drannor to get me kind of double capped, and then I took the level and went on somewhere else. But no, I'll be using it regularly and maybe amassing a few arguments. I don't see me using much, if any, of the loot, but I will keep the arguments that are relevant to my characters somewhere safe, and we'll see what happens in the future. I interrupted myself. I was about to tell you on the subject of raids and reward. Well, I didn't get any rewards, but I did participate, I'm pleased to say, in the latest round of raids. One of the bear party likes to organise raids. It's nothing overly challenging, like legendary hard. Everybody gets invited in, under level, whatever class, it doesn't matter. And I'm pleased to say, although I died plenty, as Red usually does, I contributed a bit. I understood a little bit more in places, things that, needed to be understood, like in the skeletons in the closet. I so wish I didn't have to go in there. Whenever that thing roars, there was one, for those of you who know the raid, there was one laughable situation where I was sitting on one of the platforms, so I was immune to the raw damage. But I was taking damage from the skulls that were up in the background that had to be killed. And I thought to myself, if I don't get off this platform and get my heal soon, I'm just going to die anyway from these skulls. And then somebody said raw, for the dinosaur. I thought, right, let's just go quickly off the platform. And of course, as soon as I left the platform, boom, 1700 damage, dead. So it was a bit of a damned if you do and damned if you don't, that one. I think with hindsight, I should have stayed on the platform and taken my chances with the skulls. But yeah, we did 6 or 7 raids that night. Uh, the one that most interests me is the Hunt or Hunted, because I'm still looking for. Well, Red would like the Imbue dice augment from there, and the Pomura's Memento would be great for my caster druid, because he doesn't have any other source of that extra spell crit, which any self-respecting caster would have by now, I'm sure, ages ago. So that's on my to-do list, definitely. So yeah, beginning to feel a little bit more at home. I mean, for those of you who maybe you, Tom, maybe this is most aimed at you because you've mentioned this issue in the past. Uh, I certainly wouldn't have done it on my own. The fact that it was being led by a friend and there were 3 or 4 of them in there, all in the chat, so it didn't feel like I was kind of being thrown to the wolves, if that makes any sense. And calling them wolves is quite disrespectful because the vast majority of them were, very approachable and tolerant of my shortcomings and those of others. It was as casual as it could be, allowing underlevel people in and all that kind of thing, and not really saying anything. We managed to complete everything. Didn't get any nice loot, but you work your way up, don't you, with the securing of the raid runes. So hope springs eternal. Okay, I think that'll about do it for this one. Sorry if I've gone on a bit too long. Just wanted to give you my impressions on the new pack. I think the evaluation of it all will vary wildly depending on what people's priorities are. Let's say it that way. Thank you very much as always for looking, and I'll speak to you next time. Take care.